Just like normal laws, you can't refuse it in laws that have been set by men. So why on earth would you even be claiming, believing in a God and you refuse God? Then you have yourself to blame, because the image that we have created for God, the construed image, or the negative image we've picked about God, sort of gives us the sense of fear that he's actually in that state where his countenance might strike us. So in fear we live to sort of do whatever he asks. In our obedience, it's all based on fear, not necessarily understanding. But even in these books, it's plainly open up clearly for us to get that understanding is the core thing that one day you need. Without understanding, you perish. I can point it out from the Bible, which I have seen that as well. Without understanding, probably in the books of the Psalms, you perish. I put that out for you to sort of get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. You see, life is actually something which we have complicated it. We have complicated life for ourselves. For whatever reason, I don't know. We have complicated life so much that it's very much eating into us. We are not recognizing it because we are, most of the time, we are all engaged in whatever we desire or whatever we are so interested in. And that desire that we have, makes us get ourselves entangled in things. And as I said in Surah 9:5, you can verify it yourself. It is a promise from Allah for them to sort of pursue their enemies. Now, when I'm talking this right, think of the context of what we are talking about: omnipotent God, omniscient God, a providing God. And if you have this at your mind and agree that this are the core, strong basis of who God is, or your God, or the God I'm talking about is, then you are in this category. And being in this category, there are other things that also devise us to sort of have a one core understanding, and we'll break it all down. So some of it is what I'm pulling out. Allah, considered by Islamic people, is someone who's seen as omnipotent, omniscient, and provider. The same with the Bible, the same with the Torah. I'm sure probably the same with Buddhists, but Buddhists have their controversial way of doing it, which is like some of them is about meditation and self-building, and they have images like Buddhist images can be a carved image somehow while they worship. So it can also be considered by the Christians and the Muslim as pagan style of worship, but they also believe in self-development, that kind of thing. So looking at these, what I've quoted here, you are finding a God, Allah, ultimate God, considered by the Islamic people, giving orders, telling them to strike who? Enemies. The enemies are those who have not repented and accepted Allah, or accepted the way of Islamic or Muslims. And that is anything outside of Islamic. Christians have not accepted Islamic way of worship or way of belief. They have not accepted Buddhist, the way of belief, the same way the Buddhists have not accepted the way of Islam worship and all that. So there is no denial to these things. If I read the Bible, I read that. If I get the books of Quran, the books of Buddha or Buddhist books, you will find out that the approach and everything towards the faith is different. There's never way of, obviously, if it's the same, they probably be together by now, naming themselves one name and following through and doing the very same things. But no, they're not. They are two different things. The Quran wants to be accepted as the last books of the Abrahamic worshippers, the Abrahamic descendants, the Abrahamic followers. But to the Christian side or the Jewish side, they never accepted. They never accepted that way. In fact, there are prophecies that in the Bible that proves that God did not promise just to bless Jacob, but through the blessing of Isaac, he blessed two of his sons. He blessed Ishmael, and then he blessed Jacob. So somehow there will be two nations that are being blessed. And there was this, which it says, the smaller one, the older one will serve the younger one. All these things somehow is related today, in today's life for some reason. I don't know. But I say the period had a break, a long gap within that breaks, and things have changed and things have transformed differently. So you can't really think that it's a continuous culture, a continuous progressing movement. It break off and it wasn't continuous. So somehow, wherever the breaking came, the new ones that start, like what we have now, wherever it came from, there is no solid basis of it. When you find out, you search and you get the information. It was all true fragments of information coming from here and there. The Quran believes that it came from one person who spoke to one man, and he put it out there. I dispute all these things because of the words that comes in, comparing to what they have succeeded or they claim to succeed as the Bible or the Torah, and the contradicting words that comes up. And even if you take the Quran alone, the response of what Allah is saying, things that you can believe that God will have to say that, or will it necessary for him to utter such words, advice of 9:5 to his followers to do to who? The very people that they are supposed to convert. The patient and enduring God now cannot take it anymore. I mean, I don't know. The powerful of Almighty God, who is so powerful, omnipotent, omniscient, cannot change a human being that he has created to the extent that he will give you the mantle to kill and destroy them and hang them. That is not really, it sounds a bit awkward to me. I am there looking for answers. Quran is there for me to sort of convince me. Reading this, thinking about the definition of who God is, they don't really sound like God to me. I pull out the Bible's one, which makes me also sound like, it doesn't sound like God to me. It's a spiritual inspiration, an individual spiritual inspiration, or a group of spiritual inspiration, the same with the Bible or any other book, and does not necessarily qualify, to my view, to be the ultimate God, the loving and good God who cares by his own creation, that he will not have any reason to destroy, because before he even created the creation, he knew the future of me and everybody, that this is the state it's going to be. So he has no problem to turn around and ask another group of people to say they are stubborn. He knew if this state is stubbornness to him, if my state and my state or my life or how my life is today is stubbornness to God, he knew this state that I will be in today. So why would he give this information of Surah 9:5 to Islamic people to strike their brother or somebody that they know has descended from the same family or the same one background or the same creation from the same source? Why would he advise? So any Islamic person will have to think things through this way. But human being has been possessed to something, because this spiritual inspiration does not just come as that, as we see. They are not just books there. They have already had a spiritual touch, or they've already made a spiritual touch to the human soul before this book. When you take this book, as you're reading, or as anybody you decide to read, you might take it for granted. As a little child being born, you get tempered with spiritual things, but at that time you're so vulnerable, you don't know. That is where you are being picked and groomed. You be groomed till you get, the Spirit takes you to where it wants to take you. So it depends on what Spirit has groomed you or has taken control over your life. And if you don't grow to learn to free yourself, I don't know how to free yourself, but engaging in other forces and seeing that this spirit is striking you here, the Christian spirit is striking you here, the Muslim spirit is striking you here, the Buddha spirit is striking you here, it sort of awakens you to see the lunacy about the whole thing. You sort of see the craziness about it. You say, nah, what's going on here? And sometimes you see some even coming out to say we are serving one God. You see the seriousness, the serious lie about the whole thing. and then you get awakened. Then you